It's Pink Friday 2021, and here's a message from one of our survivors.
Hello, I'm Robin Roberts, and I am happy to join the American Cancer Society in the fight against breast cancer. As a breast cancer survivor and proud Mississippi native, I'm honored to support Pink Friday, a fundraiser for breast cancer awareness. We all have a part to play in this fight, and by working together, one day we are determined to find a cure for breast cancer. Get your tickets now to support this wonderful event.
Hey y'all, Jeff Good here, Broad Street Baking Company, Jackson State University's favorite bakery, right here in the heart of Jackson, I-55 Northside Drive in Banner Hall. Why are we the JSU Tigers' favorite bakery? That's why. Because you can get custom-made JSU Tiger paraphernalia cookies here anytime you want. Sugar cookies, delicious, right at Broad Street. Come and try it. Go Tigers.
Well, I got it.
I got it.
You already know. I got the COVID-19 vaccine.
I got it because you can only do prom once.
I got it because my team got big buzz this year.
I got it because my wife needs all the help he can get.
I got it because this school year is going to be awesome.
I got it because I missed my friends.
Sign up to get your vaccine today. Find out how at igotitms.com.
Hey, it's time to hydrate.
Best kept secret in sports, no longer a secret.
Well, I got it.
I got it.
Of course I got it.
I got it right after work.
That's right. I got the COVID-19 vaccine.
Because self-care. I got it because I wanted to get back to my normal.
I was one of the first ones that got it. And now, I'm helping others get theirs.
So let's get it together. Sign up and get your vaccine today, and let's stop COVID in its tracks. Visit igotitms.com.
Well, I got it.
I got it.
Of course I got it.
I got it right after work.
That's right. I got the COVID-19 vaccine.
Because self-care. I got it because I wanted to get back to my normal.
I was one of the first ones that got it. And now, I'm helping others get theirs.
So let's get it together. Sign up and get your vaccine today, and let's stop COVID in its tracks. Visit igotitms.com.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and for all those who's listening and watching it from around the world. And we are now live from the corner of Dalton and Lynch Street. It's the show where we take you inside the game before the game begins. It's the Pregame with your host, Charles Bishop and Neely. So get ready because we pregame harder than the other show's party. It's the Pregame.
Welcome into the pregame show, and you thought you were only going to see us during football season. Welcome to the Friday drive time edition of the pregame show. Charles Bishop and, of course, my partner, Neely. Neely, it's basketball season, bro.
It is basketball season, man. There is no off season for the pregame show. So for anybody who thought we were just covering football, I got two words for you. A lie.
No doubt about it, man. We get into some basketball action. Like I said, Friday drive time edition today. Of course, if you're closing up that computer, if you're turning that machine off, thank you for tuning in to the pregame show as we kind of take a look back at this past week with regards to the men's and women's basketball action and preview the weekend action with Jackson State as they take a trip over to Montgomery and Huntsville. The Alabama swing on the SWAC leg of the tour should be a good one. But I tell you what, we got into some SWAC action this past Wednesday with the women's and men's team, Neil.
Hey man, they can wait a second, brother. It's a new year. I hadn't talked to you in the new year. Like you just went right into it. You just like hit it. Like, you know, let's warm the folks up, man. How you doing in the new year?
I'm doing well, man. I'm
it's 2022.
2022, being a little lazy with the razor on the face, man. Got a little growth coming in there.
If that little beard you got is lazy, then this is sloth right here. Because until Coach Prime get Gillette to cut that check to Neely, this thing just gonna keep on growing. It's like a chia pet over here. Chia Neely.
No doubt about it, man. But I tell you what, when we take a look back, a little bit of football, but now we transition ourselves into basketball season. SWAC play has started. SWAC play has started amidst this COVID environment, and we've already seen what COVID has done to a couple of teams within the SWAC in terms of cancellations, and the SWAC has come out with guidelines. You know, those games will be forfeit, so there will be a preeminence on every game being played during this basketball season.
Yeah, sure thing. The games will be forfeit, a loss to the team that was at fault, if you will. It's hard for anyone to be truly at fault during the pandemic, and that blame is going to shift around. Everybody's going to get a taste of it eventually. And one thing that Coach Reed talked about, we talked to her after the victory of Alcorn, and she said, the SWAC champion is going to be who manages this pandemic the best. This new resurgence of the Omicron variant, or Omarion for you out there who like saying something wrong. For all the people who use their laptop and not a laptop, they got the Omarion. Everybody got the Omicron. So yeah, it's once again, man, interesting times, particularly being inside with basketball. You're seeing a totally different dynamic and impact that you saw being outside in open air with football. Except for, hey, man, that Celebration Bowl, a lot of people came back from Atlanta. That was pertinently a super spreader to some degree, with those hotel lobbies. But this basketball season is going to be an interesting challenge, interesting dynamic, game by game basis. The Tigers are headed over to Alabama for that swing, and it's we're going to get into that today, Chuck, as we talk this first episode of the pregame show dealing with the basketball season, because the men's and women's teams, as far as the opponent is concerned, are different dynamics and different levels. Hey, but Chuck, before we just shift totally away from football, there is some football, because we do have a number of players that have been invited to bowl games that have yet to take place and will be taking place during basketball season. We also have signing day that's coming in February, and there's going to be some announcements leading up to that. Matter of fact, you can expect, and you heard it here first on the pregame show, Saturday, January 8th. Just keep your ears to the ground.
Keep your ears to the ground. There you go.
That's all I'm going to say. Keep your ears to the ground. We're not quite done with football yet. As Lee Corso would say, not so fast.
Not so fast, no doubt. We're going to be looking under the Christmas tree still.
Yeah. Still got some stuff that we didn't open up for Christmas. Some announcements will be coming in the next few days, and as we roll into February, so Tiger Nation, stay tuned. I know you guys have been seeing some synergy at other HBCUs, and this is what Coach Prime wanted to happen, and what he preached that needed to happen is that this thing was going to start at Jackson State, but not end at Jackson State. And so you're seeing some high-profile college portal transfers, as well as high school transitioning from senior to their freshman year in college, who are considering and taking seriously the impact they can make at HBCU. So I'm telling you guys right now, tip of the iceberg, tip of the spear, more to come. Stay tuned, and you're going to hear about the detail on the pregame show. But hey, Chuck, today is about basketball. It's officially SWAC play is underway.
Yeah, SWAC play underway, and our teams got into the action this past Wednesday night, January 5th. Split women on the winning side of the ledger against Alcorn, men on the losing side of the ledger. But we'll get into it a little bit. We'll start off with those Lady Tigers. Tomekia Reed's Lady Tigers get the victory over Alcorn, 75-49. Big night, I tell you what, in terms of jumping off into swag play. And I tell you what, our ladies started off 18-6 run in their first quarter, limited Alcorn to only 20% shooting.
Yeah, and exciting atmosphere, man, once again. And you can hear about it. We're going to play an interview for you guys when we sat down with Coach Reed. Fans got there early for the women's game. You know, you can remember back in the day, historically, when people would just show up just before the men tipped off. But now, you know, it's hard to get a seat in there just for the women because it's a special program that Coach Reed has built over there. And, you know, you had some preseason folks on that team, on the Lady Tigers team. Misha Williams is the preseason defensive player of the year, and Deja Rogan is the preseason player of the year. And they did not let anybody down. Misha with 19 points, Rogan with 18, and Kishana Luckett came through 11, and a 75-49 victory over Alcorn at the AAC. So Lady Tigers have started off 1-0 in the SWAC, and most importantly, you got to win those home games, man, because it's an environment you can control. And with this COVID situation and the new rules that are in place, as Coach Reed said, and you'll hear her say later, you know, the team that manages that the best to make sure they can keep their players out there is just a upper hand. So hats off to Coach Reed, man. It was outstanding performance, dominant from tip to finish by the Lady Tigers.
Yes, indeed. And you talk about Deja Rogan, first team all SWAC, but interesting dynamic. Her and Jariah Covington, they came off the bench in this game. Like you mentioned, Deja 18 points and 6 rebounds. Jariah Covington, she had 8 points as well. But two starters that we've seen, they came off the bench and really provided a scoring punch coming off the bench as Jackson State's bench was able to outscore Alcorn's bench.
Yeah, you know, and Coach Reed's going to touch on that, and you know, because she had to do some key substitution because her team has been battling and dealing with managing this pandemic, and fatigue sets in when you have players coming back from the coronavirus, from like COVID, a new variant especially. So it's not as severe when you're vaccinated, if you will, and been boosted, if you will, but it still takes a toll on you fatigue-wise. So she has to manage that with her lineups and substituting players and getting their legs back under them. But dominant performance. You know, again, from tip to finish. And some of those folks that you saw who were predicted to do well preseason-wise have, in game one, lived up to the expectation. You know, we're at an interesting point in the season, Chuck, where you really have to look at the out-of-conference play when you see what people are capable of, because we've got all those late November and December games behind us, but only have one game in the books in the SWAC. So when you look at some of these rankings and what players are capable of, you know, it's a little gray area there. So you're trying to marry what they accomplished in December, and we got to get enough games under our belt in the SWAC to have that kind of metric. But dominance is dominance, and when you're putting points up and rebounds up and hitting from the free throw line and securing those home victories, it just spells a good look going forward in conference play as we get truly into conference play, particularly
as we get truly into conference play. And coming into conference play, we talk about Misha Williams came in averaging 16.7 points per game and 10.3 rebounds, good for number one in the SWAC. Deja Rogan, 15.6 points per game, good for third in the SWAC in scoring. But, you know, they bring their out of conference play into conference play now, and they got off to rolling just like, you know, out of conference play. Like you said, Amisha, 19 points and 8 rebounds. But, you know, a couple of key stats that I really take a look at, especially on the women's side of the ledger. 36 points in the paint with regards to Jackson State, really being dominant in the paint when you talk about the things that Amisha gets done down there.
Yeah, she gets it done. I mean, she just flat out gets it done. We own the paint with her. That was something that happened preseason, if you will. I'm calling it preseason, out of conference play. But now that we're in that first SWAC game under the belt, that same dominance is there. And when you look at some of those games that we played in December, you know, Lady Tigers were in those games with a higher level, if you will, of number of scholarships, a higher level, if you will, of caliber of play, and we were right there. So you want that dominance, you know, to continue, and that was a good check mark if you keep it score about those points in the paint from our bigs and controlling the boards as well, getting those second chance opportunities to score.
Second chance opportunities, out rebounded Alcorn 38-26, and get this, forced 15 turnovers, but converting those turnovers, 18 points off turnovers.
Yeah, and and much. I always say one of my favorite taglines is, we had a primetime coach before we had Coach Prime as a coach, because Coach Reed has that same standard. Not satisfied. Some of those steals, the ones we did not convert. We had some missed layups, had some missed free throws. So you saw a dominant performance against Alcorn, but kind of like we talked to Dennis Thurman on the football side, she's looking at those missed opportunities and what woulda, coulda, shoulda, because we know when we get deep into this SWAC play that you got to capitalize on those things. You can't leave meat on the bone, particularly on layups and free throws. Got to make those.
You had an opportunity to talk with Coach Reed at the conclusion of that Alcorn victory. She had very interesting comments with regards to Jackson State getting off on a good foot in SWAC play.
Yes. This was a really tough game. We had a lot of players out with COVID prior to this game. We had about 7 to 8 players out, and out of that 7 to 8, 3 to 4 were starters. And so we knew this was going to be a tough game coming back. We knew that they were going to be a little fatigued, so we had to keep our subs running in and out. But I'm just thankful we were able to play Alcorn, a team that we knew that would push us, but we knew that we had to, play hard, but we could kind of, work ourselves back into the groove of things. But nevertheless, we got to get prepared for a big game coming up this weekend. Our girls have to rest and recover because this COVID thing is really serious. And, I could tell it took the best of us tonight, but I'm thankful we were able to push through. Man, we needed that energy tremendously, and it was great. It was awesome. I'm just thankful that we had our fans here, our players that were appreciative of it, because that's what it's about. That's the support that we need. We were nervous with school being out, no students on campus, and we didn't think people were going to come out. So we are extremely thankful for our fans coming out to support us on tonight. It certainly helped us get over that hump we kept facing.
And it's got to feel good when you look over the years that people are arriving early for the women's game and not just showing up for the men's game.
Great feeling. We like to say that we're thankful that we're able to get that respect, and every day we hit the floor, I want our players to be great for our fans. I want them to be great for our community, for our university. And that's what we look forward to when we put them on the floor. So we are so thankful for the people who choose to come early enough to watch us play. We do a little bit extra. We try to go over and beyond for our players. We do medicine ball teas with their flu. We're pumping our players with orange juice, vitamin C. We have vitamins for our players to take if they choose to do so, and we keep them hydrated. We buy gallons of water for them to drink throughout the week, to keep them hydrated and keep their system flushed. We also go spend some time in the sauna to keep that stuff sweated out of us as well. But we try to, we're wearing our masks, keeping our hands washed. I'm just telling our players we have to really, really take this serious, because at the end of the day, the team who manages COVID well enough will be the team who's going to be victorious. So we're trying to stay on top of that as we continue to go down this stretch.
At the end of one, two-time defending champ Lady Tigers 18, Alcorn 6.
As we continue to go further into SWAC, we got to, number one, stay safety, stay healthy. We have to play with a lot of toughness. I thought in preseason we were able to stay in those games against those bigger institutions because we played with toughness and we played with heart. And that's what we got to continue to play with. We got to continue to put teams away early and not let them linger around. But we have to play Jackson State basketball. The standard that has been set, the expectations that are there, we have to meet that every time we hit the floor. We have to have that at the forefront of our mind. Hey, this is who we are, this is what we're about. So that's what we have to bring to the floor every day.
And congratulations to Coach Tomekia Reed. That is her 100th victory for our Jackson State Lady Tigers, Neil.
Yeah, outstanding run, man. 4 years? 4 years she's been head coach, and 2 SWAC championships, and that close to being 3. So it's just been an outstanding and dominant performance. What you heard from her, man, she is expecting and anticipating that this weekend, going through that Alabama swing with Alabama State and Alabama A&M, this is going to be a test for this team, an early test in the season, because preseason-wise, even if you look at the SWAC preseason first team, 2 players from Jackson State, 3 players from the two Alabama schools. So you're looking at a lot of the categories as far as rebound, assists, or scoring. JSU is right up there at the top in one of the twos, but the people that are right on our heels are folks from Alabama State and Alabama A&M. So this weekend, this Saturday and Monday for the Lady Tigers, first trip on the road in the SWAC is going to be a good test, going to be a true test for them.
A true test. You talk about the Alabama swing, Alabama State, and Alabama A&M, tremendous opponents. When you talk about this Alabama State team, Jackson State and Alabama State were picked to finish first and second in the SWAC in the preseason polls that was voted on by the league head coaches.
And A&M
exactly.
So they're right there in it. So you're looking at preseason-wise, the top 4 teams in the SWAC will be going at it this weekend, Saturday and Monday. And so you had those names out there for preseason. And when you look at assists, you have Jariah Covington for us and Kashana Luckett, but you also have Nigeria Jones for A&M, who's leading the SWAC. When you look at non-conference play coming in, Dariana Lewis is right behind Amisha in rebounding. There's going to be some tough matchups, some things to watch for, but you have the perennial 1 and 2 playing and the 1 and 4 playing, and it's on the road for Jackson State in an environment that you're not going to have. And you heard Coach Reed talked about the energy that she gets and her team gets from playing in the AAC. You're not going to have that traveling with you, especially during the resurgence of the pandemic. So a lot of weight on the Lady Tigers' shoulders, but as 2-time defending SWAC champions, looking forward to them living up to this challenge.
Yeah, when you take a look at it, take a look at Saturday night, taking on Alabama State. They come in to this game after picking up 2 road wins to start the SWAC season off. The Hornets defeated UAPB this past Wednesday, 54-40. They were led by Taisha Randolph, 15 points, and Ayana Emmanuel, who finished with 12 points. They also out-rebounded what I think is going to be a sleeper team in the SWAC, UAPB. They out-rebounded them 49-34. Shemaya Ward contributed 8 rebounds for the Alabama State Lady Hornets. So you're talking about a stern test this Saturday night. Coach Freeman Jackson always has his team up and ready to play. And of course, if you remember last year, we started off SWAC play, Alabama State pinned one of our regular conference defeats on us at the beginning of the season last
year. Yeah, and here we are beginning the season. Let me tell you what I'm looking for, Chuck. Lady Tigers coming into the SWAC, averaging right at 73 points a game. Alabama State only allows 40, but dig this, Lady Tigers allow 49. Something has got to give. These are 2 offenses that put up points, but also 2 strong defenses that have been known to not allow people to score. So it's going to be an interesting matchup to see who's going to bend and not break, or who's going to bend and break by allowing some points and seeing who can stifle whose offense. And keep that assist to turnover ratio on our side, a positive one on their side, a negative when you look at those differentials. So going to be a strong matchup, early matchup over the 1 and the 2 and the 1 in the 4 preseason wise. And you know how the SWAC works. I'm taking COVID out of it. They still got to come to Jackson at some point. Then we all go to the tournament for that seeding, And that's why this pandemic management, it has to be an emphasis on, as Coach Reed said, who manages the best is going to be positioned the best, because you can't, forfeits don't count toward the coach's wins and losses record, for instance, but it does count toward that inevitable seeding for the tournament and that bracketology. So it's going to be important, man.
Going to be important. Flip the page from Saturday night, Monday night, taking on the tough Alabama A&M. You mentioned it. Nigeria Jones, she comes in averaging 12.1 points per game. And then Dariana Lewis, right behind Amisha in terms of stats, especially rebounding. She comes in averaging 11.5 points per game, 10.3 rebounds per game. Again, both of these matchups this weekend, it's about scoring in the paint. It's about rebounding. It's about second chance points. And it's about creating some points off of turnovers.
All of that. All of that. Like, nothing for Neely to add. All of that, Bishop. That is what it is about this weekend for the Lady Tigers. Saturday, Sunday, Alabama swing.
Saturday, Sunday, Alabama swing. We turn our attention now to the guys' side of the ledger. Got off to a rough start in conference play, lost to Alcorn this past Wednesday night. I tell you what, James McKinnis, 14 points, 8 rebounds. Jonas James, 15 points, but he had 5 turnovers. Then Gabe Watson, 14 points, but a tough home loss to the Alcorn State Braves.
Sure, and it is what it is. I mean, we lost, and it's always just a thorn in the side when Jackson State loses to Alcorn at anything, because it is that interstate, in-state rival, if you will. Bragging rights are always on the line. But this, again, is a situation flipped from the women, but similar to the women. You want to win at home and stay ahead, but the season is not over because you lost to a team. You keep your pandemic management up. You go on the road this weekend to Alabama and facing some opponents that you should be able to manage differently. But yeah, Alcorn got out of here with a win. You know, final score was a 15-point spread, but the game really was never out of reach, Chuck. You know, we kept it within 5 or 6 points. Came back after halftime with a great spark and even had to lead for a little while. But some of those points were added on at the end. So it really wasn't, you know, a 15-point loss that looks like in the box scores. It was a competitive game. Tigers just didn't get it going offensively, if you will. We didn't have a guy emerge, didn't have a score emerge. Looked a little out of rhythm, a little out of sync at times. So I saw some things that Coach Brent and Coach Burke certainly going to be working on and cleaning up. But got to go into this weekend with a new resolve and new focus.
And I think that's going to be one of the $1 million questions for our Jackson State men's basketball team this year is who can become the go-to player that Tristan Jarrett was for the past 2 seasons for Jackson State, a guy who could take you off the dribble, a guy who could get in the lane, a guy who could create free throw opportunities, looking towards Jonas James and Gabe Watson to be that 1-2 punch with James McKinnis. We know we're going to get what we're going to get from Javis in terms of the double-double action. And then, of course, the reigning SWAC Defensive Player of the Year. He has done this 2 years in a row. He protects the rim better than anybody in the SWAC. But you got to have that scoring punch. Jackson State this past Wednesday, only 1 of 14 from the three-point line.
Yeah, I mean, shooting was dismal, man. We just did not, as I said, I talked to some local Jackson coaches as we were leaving the AAC, and we just didn't have a guy that night. You know, on every team, you know, you got to have a guy. You know, you look at the scoring against Alcorn, Jonas James, 15 points, J Mack, 14, Gabe Watson, 14. But you need that guy like you had in Tristan that's going to get you 22. And it's going to be a situation where you're down 4 points and you know you can get the ball in their hands and they can lead the team and go up to, you know, a 6-point swing, if you will. And we just couldn't get over that hump. You know, J Mack was J Mack on the glass. I think there are times our defense, you know, was what you expected from Tiger defense. But Alcorn consistently had this 4-point to 6-point momentum that we just couldn't get over the hump, aside from the first 2 or 3 minutes after the half, where we tied and I think even took a lead for a possession or two. They went right back up by 6, and then toward the end of the game, some of those more garbage points, if you would, when everybody had already checked out. So it really wasn't a 15-point loss that it is on paper. More of about a 6 or 7-point game, still an L, but some things that you fix. I mean, you can fix what you say, 1 from 13 from 3-point. Like you can. That's not going to happen every night. You know, we just got to get some guys that can shoot, because you know you got J Mac down underneath under the glass. You want to see some more assists and facilitation taking place with the ball, but. You know, otherwise, man, I'm not sitting here saying, you know, the Tigers, oh, woe is me, season over, we lost to Alcorn. I know how bad we hate losing to Alcorn, and some of our fans in the Facebook groups out there, you know, like, oh, I can't believe they're throwing their hands up in there already. But not so fast, my friend, Lee Corso, and also Aaron Rodgers, RELAX. Relax. It's one game. We lost. Headed to Alabama. Have some favorable matchups there. We'll see. Don't hit the panic button yet.
Don't check it out yet. Don't check it out yet. Big game for Linnell Henry, the Purdue A&M transfer for Alcorn. He had 20 points in that game. Landon Bussey, Alcorn's coach, is one of the hotter up-and-coming coaches in the SWAC. He studied at the feet of Purdue A&M's head coach Byron Smith. So congratulate Alcorn. They got the W Wednesday. Look forward to getting them back down there on the reservation later on. But we turn our attention to Alabama State. It's going to be an interesting matchup. Of course, we take on Jackson product, Mo Williams, his team. He has a pretty good team in terms of Kenny Strawbridge. He's a name that you want to keep an eye out for. He has already got some honors in terms of being SWAC Player of the Week. Big win over UAPB this past week. Or I should say lost to UAPB this past Wednesday. It was a 2-point loss. But Jordan O'Neal, 12 points, 10 rebounds for Alabama State in that game. The EJ DJ show, EJ Clark, 12 points for Alabama State, 11 points for DJ Jackson. Kenny Strawbridge, only 7 points. Tough 2-point loss for the Alabama State Hornets. They're going to be loaded and ready to go this Saturday against our Jackson State Tigers.
Hey, Alabama State, number 2 in scoring. Jackson State, number 2 in points allowed. It's almost like we talked about that women's aspect. You know, which one is going to give? Is our dominant defense going to shut them down, or is their dominant offense, going to exceed what we're capable of holding? I like us in the paint. Hey man, Wesley Snipes had always bet on black. Forget the movie. I'm always betting Dave Mack. Like, he's going to get the boards, and he's going to get some blocks, and we got second chance opportunities because of him. But we're still going to need a scorer, a shooter to emerge to keep defense honest when they try to sag down and double team him or protect the glass by putting a lot of attention on him. It's leaving a shooter open. We just got to knock down some shots, and we didn't knock them down. We didn't knock them down against Alcorn. We didn't knock down the 3-point. We didn't knock down the mid range. And the only way to get out of a shooting slump is to shoot, Chuck. Like, you can't. I don't want to just shoot it. You got to shoot your way out of a slump. So I say, get there, Alabama, man. Let it ride.
Let it ride. Then you flip the page from Saturday night. Monday night is going to be a huge one, taking on the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. They are not the baby Bulldogs anymore. They are full-grown Bulldogs now. You're talking about 6'7" junior forward Jalen Johnson. He led the Bulldogs this past Wednesday, 25 points, 14 boards. You also had Dalen Smith, 15 points, 2 assists, 6 boards. And, of course, Jared Hicks, 14 points, 2 assists, and 6 boards. Cameron Tucker, who is the straw who stirs the drink for that Alabama A&M squad, 12 points, 4 assists, and 6 boards. This is a completely different team when Cameron Tucker is on the court. They got off to a strong start last year. He got injured, and the wheels kind of fell off last year, but he's back and healthy this year. Going to be a tough one Monday night.
It will be, but it's a similar situation to Saturday, and it will be a big boost psychologically if we win Saturday night going to that Monday matchup, because it's the same song, same melody. Now you're going against the number 3 team in points allowed, and you're number 2. Once again, what's going to give? Are you going to be able to defensively contain that offense, contain the players you just mentioned, or is it going to be their defense, since they're so nip and tuck with us, to keep us under our scoring average? So I go right back to what I said before. What we're going to need Saturday night is what we needed Wednesday night in Jackson. Somebody's got to stretch the floor and knock down some shots early to keep that defense honest and to get the team shooting confidence up. We need a guy, Chuck. We got to have a guy that's going to score, that's going to get you above his average in situations like this. So, you look at a Jonas James or Gabe Watson, they got 14 points in Alcorn. One of them needs to get 18. Without forcing it. Somebody got to go above what they did before.
Within the flow of the game.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're missing. And it's early on, and this team is growing and gelling together. So I believe in. Panic button is not only not being pushed, I hadn't even lifted the lid on it yet. Like, it's still covered over there. So relax. Let's get through this weekend and see what these lineups look like, because it's much different now that we're in conference play. We know this team could score. We were scoring in December out of conference against teams with deeper scholarships, if you will, and holding them below their season average. So we know we can score. We know we can stop people from scoring. We just got to do it in conference play. I believe in the Tigers. I like our odds.
No doubt about it. Big weekend for our women's and men's teams as they go on the Alabama leg of this SWAC league. And I tell you what, it's going to be great matchups, especially on the women's side of the ball, taking on Alabama State and Alabama A&M.
And Chuck, I know you're a Houston guy, but you're born and raised in Jackson, and this is home in Mississippi. And I just want to say, man, God bless Alabama, because If not for Alabama, you know, we'd be 48th and 49th. But because they're always holding it down at 50th, you know, we got a shot. So I just say, man, let's go to Alabama and keep 50th, 50th, and come on back with 2 W's on each side from the Lady Tigers and from the men. And we are back in the AAC MLK weekend, January 15th on that Saturday. We're back in the AAC. Students will be back in school. Might be some different dynamics, protocols-wise. We'll address those on a day-to-day basis. But, hey, man, looking forward to having students in the AAC because the community was there against Alcorn. And so the teams feed off that energy. So let's get through this Alabama swing. Let's pack the AAC for JSU athletics, particularly for men's and women's basketball.
No doubt. And as always, protect yourself. Please mask up and do the things you need to do in terms of continuing to not only protect yourselves, but our student athletes as well. So.
Yeah, you know, we were sitting there courtside, and normally during the player introductions, the players come over and high five the people right there courtside. And so one of the veterans, the seasoned veterans, if you will, from courtside seats, he's like, "Hey man, y'all got to come over." That's like they can't do that now. Like they can't be over here slapping hands with strangers and go and wipe their face. Like there's some things that are different, but we're finally back in the AC. You remember last year they removed the courtside seating and we were in the stands and, you know, rows and rows apart. So there is a more of a traditional atmosphere for the home games now, but one that we still got to be cognizant of, that we're still not only in a pandemic, there's a resurgence of a new variant. So masks, if you ain't got vaccinated, get vaccinated. If you've been vaccinated, get boosted. We got to still do all those things in place to keep our student athletes and our family friends safe as we go, Chuck, to win the SWAC championship. Not only for the Lady Tigers, but the Tigers as well. I believe it. I think we have the talent in both those locker rooms to do it this season.
No doubt, no doubt. Any parting words, Neely, as we do the happy hour version today of the pregame show?
Well, you know, and I won't do a lot of parting words because it is happy hour, and I got to go get some happy in me in about an hour. But I will encourage everybody out there, man, to stay tuned to those upcoming bowl games and those special invitation bowls if they're in your area. You know, a lot of us are in this central time zone in New Orleans. So February 18th, we got about 5 players playing in a bowl game, invitation special bowl game down in New Orleans. Some are playing in Orlando later this month, Vegas, 2 at the NFLPA. Keith Corbin was just announced today that he's been invited to the NFL HBCU Combine. So a lot of things to still get out there and support. We're never done recruiting. So when you see somebody on an official visit to Jackson State, man, start following them, like them, hashtag them, tweet them, do what you got to do. It all helps. And so also remember that National Signing Day closing out in February. Got some more announcements happening soon. Always a great day to be a Tiger, no matter what sport is in season. And pregame show is going to keep you informed, engaged all year long. No off seasons on the pregame show, Chuck.
Hey, you never stop pregaming. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Look for us weekly as we give you your weekly review and preview of the Jackson State basketball season as we march toward the SWAC tournament in March.
Chuck, I'm digging the beard, man. I say keep going. I know you want to quit. This is the breakthrough, Chuck. This is like, Chuck, I know you work out and, you know, you go out on one of those jogs or bike rides, and you get that point in the journey where it's easy to quit because it's hurting.
Yeah,
Chuck,
yeah.
Give it 2 more minutes, it'll stop hurting. And it's nothing but pleasure after them endorphins kicking in. So, Chuck, trust the beard, God, Neely. Keep going, brother. I know you want to quit. I know you're tossing and turning. I know I got to get this off my face, but you're almost there, Chuck. You're almost there. If you need time, just take it down to a goatee, but don't quit on me, Chuck.
Trust the beard, God. True words are never spoken. I tell you. I'll take it, man. I tell you what, for the pregame show here on the Black College Sports Network, I'm Charles Bishop. Is Neely. We'll see you on the other side.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and for all those who's listening and watching it from around the world. And we are now live from the corner of Dalton and Lynch Street. It's the show where we take you inside the game before the game begins. It's the pregame with your host, Charles Bishop and Neely. So get ready because we pregame harder than the other show's part. It's the pregame.